is up, all my dorks, nerds, geeks, and gamers? It's your host Ghost here, and you're watching a brand new episode of Dorks in Movie Minute. Today we're going to continue on with our Peacemaker episode coverage and reviews. Today we are on episodes 5 and 6 of Peacemaker. Episode 5 entitled Monkey Dory. This is going to be the one we focus on first. So we start off with Peacemaker down on his luck, and we have Eagle Eye dropping a dead fox or raccoon or something on the ground in front of him. Very hilarious because Peacemaker sees it as a sign of respect, which he should, because that's kind of what animals do. So he definitely takes the dead animal. He doesn't eat it or nothing, but he says thank you for it, and he gives Eagle Eye the love back to him, and all that stuff. We cut back to Waller's daughter, who last episode found out that Mern was a butterfly, in fact, that he had it in his head the whole time, and that he was taking over his body for whatnot. So the team basically comes together. Hardcore tells Waller's daughter that she knew about it, and that she shouldn't tell Amanda Waller about it because Waller may not know about this, and everything else. And then Mern also comes out and explains everything, why he's doing what he's doing, why he's actually working against the other butterflies, and why he wants to stop all this from spreading. Because he says some of us are good. I mean, not all people are bad in their race. So he's trying to prove that point to them. And they believe him, and that's why Mern's kind of accepted on the team and helping them out. But they agree not to tell Peacemaker about it because they think he'll overreact and go the wrong direction on this. We get Peacemaker's dad, who is getting booked whenever he mentions to the two police officers that Peacemaker sent Vigilante in to kill him, because he remembers that from the past 2 episodes ago, or the episode before last episode. So he ends up getting the 2 cops, the Asian cop and the male cop, to be on his side, and they end up, they decide, you know what, we should look into this. We're going to look into this. So they basically let him go. They say, okay, you're free to go. We're going to look into Peacemaker. We're going to charge him with all these crimes and everything else. So they let the father go. He ends up going back home and getting his group of ragtag racist friends and his clan members and all this, because he decides that he's going to kill Peacemaker for putting him in jail in the first place and causing this whole mess to begin with. So we basically get the mission for this episode is that the team has to go through and take out this facility full of butterflies because they think that this is where they're manufacturing their food. So this episode is very action heavy. We get Peacemaker, Hardcore, Waller's daughter, and the crew basically going through this facility, headshotting people one after another, little butterflies coming out of their head holes, and then Peacemaker's also shooting the butterflies out of the sky as well. So very action-packed episode. They go through this facility flawlessly and all with no problems whatsoever. Until we get to this spot where there's this giant gorilla there, who is kind of in Peacemaker's way with Vigilante. Vigilante and Peacemaker end up fighting this gorilla, and you can clearly tell that this is Gorilla Grodd. Not in name, but in the way he's talking. It's a talking gorilla. He's using psychic powers. And he's just a beast, and it's awesome to see Gorilla Grodd fight Peacemaker in this fashion. But what's even better is John, the IT guy, who ends up getting Peacemaker's father thrown in jail for his mistake. He's actually the one that saves Peacemaker in the end of the episode with a chainsaw, because he was talking about how Vigilante always wanted to use a chainsaw. But John actually gets to use the chainsaw. He chainsaws Gorilla Grodd in half. Very epic moment, and it leads to this very nice connective scene with Vigilante, Peacemaker, and John in the truck, where they kind of have this moment of bonding with each other, and they take this picture, which plays into the season finale later on in the run of episodes. But very cool, nice moment to see between all characters getting this little camaraderie with each other before things get crazy and out of hand. We get Peacemaker and Hardcore budding their relationship a little bit. More to come on that on the final episode of the series, but we get to see the start of that relationship where she's kind of opening up to him a little bit, and he's kind of opening up to her a bit more. And then we also get the Amanda Waller's daughter planting the journal that Waller wanted planted at Peacemaker's trailer. She ends up going over there to comfort him, and she does plant that journal. And then afterwards she feels completely bad about it and changes the way things happen. We'll talk about that next episode that we're going to cover here. We end with... oh yeah, so this is the episode where Waller finds out. Yeah, okay, Waller's daughter puts on the mask, finds out that Murr is a butterfly at the end of this, and that's the end of that. So episode 9 out of 10 with the facility, going through the heavy action scenes, Gorilla Grodd and all that. I give it a 9 out of 10, very solid episode. But it does mix together really well with this next episode, because it is essentially a two-parter episode storyline going on in this middle of the series here. So we're moving on to, 9 out of 10 for episode 5, Monkey Dory. Moving on to episode 6, Myrn After Reading, which is also a very solid episode as well. So basically, this is where, like I said earlier, they let Waller's daughter in on the secret of all this, and they decide not to tell Peacemaker. Peacemaker is getting these flashbacks of him and his brother about how his father pushed him to kill his brother on accident because he called him a wimp and he's a wuss and all this, so he had to do what he had to do. And it's a very abusive relationship for the whole family, for the brother, for Peacemaker, for the father. And so that kind of shows the resentment that Peacemaker has for his father, but yet also the strength he has as a character because he's still showing respect to him, even though he hates his guts this much. So it's a very, very, very cool dynamic to see in this superhero kind of storyline. Yeah, we get the 2 detectives that go after Peacemaker. They release his dad from jail. We talked about that from the last time. This is basically an episode where Peacemaker and Vigilante are in Peacemaker's trailer. The team is trying to contact him. He doesn't have a cell phone on him, and Vigilante's not answering his cell phone. The police is coming. They're about to surround the area. They do surround the area. They do end up getting contact with Peacemaker and Vigilante, who are messing with the butterfly in the jar that he captured last episode. And then Vigilante ends up grabbing the butterfly in the jar, putting it on his belt loop, and he ends up climbing through the ceiling with Peacemaker. The butterfly ends up falling out of a tree and breaking. The butterfly comes out of the jar and goes straight into the Asian police officer, the Asian detective's mouth, and it's very violent, blood shooting all over, out of her nose, out of her eyes, out of her mouth, and it basically takes over her body at that point. She gets up, she goes up to the other police officer. She has her own kind of agenda that she's going on at this point, which he doesn't understand. But then we also get but she basically runs off on her own. She calls on this invasion. These little mini UFOs come down with all these different butterflies. Very awesome scene. The music works perfectly. She walks into the police station with all these butterflies, and all the butterflies start attacking every single police officer in the police station. So now we know that the police station is compromised. We know that they are all butterflies in this police station, and that no one is on the side of the team of Peacemaker and his friends. So we'll have to wait and see how this ties out the last 2 episodes of the series. But basically, the Peacemaker's dad vows he's going to get revenge, setting up a very strong episode 7 and 8 arc, with the police also against them as well. This episode ends with Locke, which Locke is another character we haven't talked about yet. But the team is getting, like I said, when the Asian cop believes Peacemaker's father and the male cop believes Peacemaker's father is innocent, they let him go. They start looking into what's wrong with this precinct and what's going on, and they find out that the chief has been replaced with this character named Locke, who's played by the Swede. If you guys have ever seen Hell on Wheels, amazing actor, does a great job in these kind of bit roles, but he does a great job here as well. He is also a butterfly, a human butterfly, in the position of the leader of the police chief, so that way the team can do whatever they want, and he can get their backs in whatever way possible. But Amanda Waller has her own plan for Peacemaker and everything else going on, because she wants her revenge for him kind of turning against him last time in the Suicide Squad movie. So basically it ends with Locke showing the journal to the press and saying that Peacemaker is now public enemy number 1, and that he is not a friend of anybody and that he should not be trusted by anybody. So it's basically the whole world against this team to stop these butterflies who do not want to be stopped in the first place. So another solid episode. I give this one a 9 out of 10 as well. So 2 very strong episodes. Episode 5, Monkey Dory, got a 9 out of 10, and episode 6, Myrn After Reading, got a 9 out of 10. I'm loving the series so far, but let me know down below what you guys think. Are you guys more excited with what came before, or are you more excited about what's happening now in this series? And how do you think this series is going to end? Let me know down below. Make sure you like, subscribe, or share, and as always, guys, keep it right here on Dorkston. I've been your host, Ghost. Adios.